So, a little thing regarding the last meeting, as we explained in our last episode in February, the NUP Connect, it's gonna be organized in order to give two main contents at each meeting. So at the beginning, we're gonna start with some activities that are related to the elaboration of the new urban project. As we saw in the last episode, we will start with the main activities, and then we're gonna talk about the Congress, the Marrakesh Congress preparation and all that it's involved. So as you could see in the screen in this calendar, I could send you this calendar later if you want to. We will have each meeting, each month, we will have certain topics, certain things that we will talk about. And of course, this is a space that you will have each month to ask us and to ask for further details, to ask us for more things regarding the preparation of the Congress. And if you have any question, if you have any, of course, you could write us, our mails and everything.
¿Qué pasa, cariño?
So, yeah, I think somebody...
No, te he contestado diciendo que
no.
No.
Okay.
Es que te he dicho que he llegado aquí a las 2:30 y aquí tengo yo un follón que pagué. No puedo...
Somebody that's speaking, I don't know if you could put your mic off, please.
José, ¿podrías...?
Jose.
Did it. Yeah, I did it. So, thank you, Berenice. So, next slide, please, Jules. So, we keep developing our campaign of the best practices, as you could see in the screen, and as you will probably know, I've been having interviews with many cities. The idea is to develop the good practices of all cities of the network related to habitability. And we're publishing many best practices as months pass by. The last good practices that we have published concerned Regensburg, Bordeaux. We're gonna publish some other best practices concerning Puebla, Mexico City, Tunis. So that's the idea is to have a collection of best practices that will allow us to know more examples of our city members and all the things that are developing regarding the habitability, and to collect all these best practices until the Marrakesh Congress. I will send you, I will put later in the chat the website link so you could check how to participate, how to give us more information regarding these best practices. And you could also check the best practices, the good practices that you have already sent us. Next slide, please, Jules. Do you have any questions or anything? Please, you could raise your hand anytime. Next slide, please, Jules.
Next, we'll talk about preparing the World Congress website. As you know, we know how to prepare, and we are continuing to prepare for these congresses. We are very pleased to announce that the official Congress website is now online. The website. I will share the links with you shortly. You can already visit the website, but there is still some information that needs to be added, of course, because it is an ongoing process. It's ongoing. That's it. That's the website. You can already consult certain sections. You can see general information such as words of welcome, messages from dignitaries, information about Marrakesh, and above all, a few notes on the theme of the Congress. The website will certainly feature information that will be shared soon, with a preliminary version ready in May, as well as the conference registration system. All of this will also be available in May, along with everything you need to know about your stay in Marrakesh, the official hotels, how to get to Marrakesh, travel information, etc. This will also be posted online, starting in May. Of course, the Maliawen OVPM websites will also host certain information rather than their own city members, such as information associated with the program. Ratifications. Are you already familiar with this? Is this something that interests you at the General Assembly as well? Or perhaps nominations for the Board of Directors, or the next host city for the Congress in 2028. So you can always keep an eye out for our email communications to find out what information will be shared on this site. But you can already visit the site under the site. And now, I'll hand over to my colleague Berenice. She will talk to you about something very important concerning our activities in the coming months. Thank you, Berenice. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Adriana. Good morning, everyone. As you may have seen in our latest communications, we have officially launched the 2026 edition of the Jean-Paul Alliés Prize. February 18th. Member cities can now submit projects that have already been completed and contribute to regeneration of their historic centers. Thanks to strategies focused on vitality, focused on mobility. Premier is looking ahead to. This edition aims to highlight structural projects in Andriana Podria. Apogar Micro. Excuse me, because there was an echo. I'm continuing. This edition aims to highlight structuring and cross-disciplinary projects. In other words, initiatives that go beyond one-off actions, connecting several aspects of the city and placing residents at the heart of public decision-making, with concrete and lasting effects on quality of life. Although the Jean-Paul Alliés Prize is an emblematic activity of the OWPU, we mention it here because this year it will also serve to illustrate in a very tangible way what we mean by livability. As part of the new urban project, the projects presented will highlight real results, share lessons learned between cities, and create additional momentum for the World Congress in Marrakesh. I want to change to Spanish. So, in this episode, we're going to focus on the most useful things for preparing a strong award application. Starting now, in about 10 minutes, we will look at what the award recognizes, what a structuring and cross-cutting project means, and a short section on possible questions you may have about it. Next, so what does it recognize? This year's Jean-Paul Award? In other words, not just projects in the planning stage, but projects that are regenerating historic centers through strategies focused on livability. The focus of this edition is to identify initiatives that are structural and cross-cutting, as I have already mentioned. It is not about rewarding the largest project, but rather the most coherent and sustainable transformation for everyday life in the historic center. Next. Now let's look a little more closely at the practical definition of what we mean when we say structuring. We are referring to a project that places livability at the center of public action and acts as a lever for urban transformation. In other words, it can change practical uses and dynamics with lasting effects. And when we say cross-cutting, we are talking about an intervention that connects several dimensions. For example, housing, mobility, climate resilience, public space, governance, thereby avoiding isolated approaches. A key feature is the catalytic effect, that is, the ability to activate processes that continue over time and generate new actions or policies beyond the scope of the intervention. Next, please. What characteristics can a cross-cutting structuring project have? As we mentioned in the practical section, these projects are recognized by 4 features. First, they have an explicit goal of improving quality of life. In the Historic Center, this means putting people first, especially those who live there, at the center of decisions. Second, they produce lasting changes that are sustained over time and modify how the area is inhabited, used, and managed. The Historic Center. Third, they coherently articulate various urban dimensions and are therefore comprehensive. And fourth, they demonstrate observable results, supported by a monitoring framework and evidence. Next, please. The idea is not to oppose the two, but rather to articulate them, guide them, and ensure the coherence of this type of project. The table helps us identify where your project stands and what you need to specify for the application. So I suggest you read this table from 3 perspectives: focus, impact, and governance. Focus means that, beyond a specific action, it is a strategy with a systemic vision. Impact means that rather than having localized effects, we have impacts that are sustained and expanded. And governance and assembly. An assembly is not just a single service, but real coordination between actors and sources of funding. Diverse. Next, please. Now, a very common question might be, can I apply for a project that is only about housing or only about mobility? Yes, you can apply. However, it will be essential to demonstrate that, even if it focuses on one main area, the project has an integrated approach and generates cross-cutting effects on the livability of the historic center. Simply put, it is not enough to describe what was done. You have to show how it connects to a coherent transformation in the historic center and how it avoids remaining an isolated action. I will now give you 5 points in the form of questions that you may have. Next, please. So I'll start with the first one. Who can apply? Only cities. Members of the OCPM who are up to date with their dues through 2025. 2. My project must be completed. Not necessarily completed, but implemented. And as I said before, projects that are exclusively in the planning phase will not be accepted. Can I send attachments, links, or videos? The answer is no. Only the information requested in the technical document will be evaluated. Now, regarding the financial package. When we talk about financial arrangements, we are not looking for a detailed budget or amounts. What we need is to understand how the project was made possible in economic terms. In other words, which actors financed or will co-finance it. Municipality, region, national government. There was cooperation, foundations, etc. How are these sources distributed? Simple, approximate percentages of these shares will suffice. And it is worth mentioning, very briefly, the mechanism. Whether it was a public-private partnership or a specific fund, that is, if applicable. Avoid exact figures, i.e., very specific percentages and complete budgets. It is not necessary, nor are explanations. Too technical. The idea is to show diversification, consistency, and the ability to implement. As for the means of verification are the evidence that allows us to verify 2 things: that the project was implemented and what changed as a result of that implementation. It is not a matter of filling in appendices, but of providing clear and relevant evidence. For example, evidence of execution. This could be before and after photos, manuals, or guidelines adopted, or evidence of impact. These can be simple and understandable indicators if you have them. testimonials, surveys, some monitoring, consistency. The most important thing is that the evidence corresponds to what you claim as results. So I advise you to avoid generic lists or indicators that are impossible to prove. Few elements, but solid ones. Remember that the financial setup and means of verification are not an extra in this case, but rather demonstrate that the project is real, sustainable, and replicable. I'm almost done. Next, I'm going to briefly go over a checklist of what the application dossier requires. There are 3 documents that are explained in the technical document. The first is the explanatory document, which is a maximum of 5 pages and may contain 2 images. The executive summary should be 1 page long. This is text only and must be signed by the mayor of your city. And 3. A compressed .zip folder with up to 10 images wherever you want. These images can be maps, photographs, graphics, etc. that can help explain the project a little more. Now let's move on to the key dates. May 8th is the deadline for submitting applications, and we will be receiving them from the cities by June 11th. The candidate cities will be announced on our website. Subsequently, in mid-August, we will confidentially notify the winning city. Obviously, there will first be a jury that will deliberate and choose the city for the winning project. Finally, the award ceremony will be held at the World Congress in Marrakesh, where the winning project will be officially announced. The winning city will also be presented. Finally, we invite you to download the technical document and also to consult the FAQ document, which is also included in the annexes. This comparative table, which you can read in more detail as a guide to help you tailor your application. And if you have any questions about what we have just discussed, this episode will also be recorded in the cloud, as always, so that you can consult it at any time. I will now open the floor for questions. If anyone has any questions or comments about what I have just presented, thank you very much. Perfect. I think we can continue. Adriana. Perfect then. No questions, no comments. There's the chat then. Also, before, Des, provide the activities for the coming months, which we are preparing. Of course, I also wanted to say hello to the representatives of the cities of Agadez and Jeannette, which recently became members of the OWPM. They have joined these 2 networks this year. So, Mr. Ali, Salafo, and Mr. Diakite. Musa, thank you for being here with us today. That's right. It's interesting to get to know you, to meet you, and we hope that you will be able to participate in upcoming meetings or other activities organized by...
See on the screen, we are preparing more things for the upcoming months, for March and April. First, we will have the 5th virtual meeting of the Quebec Collaborative Network that will take place on the 2nd April. Then for March, we're gonna do the meeting of the new Urban Project Steering Committee that will be held in Brussels. This advisory committee will assist the secretary in finalizing the new urban project proposals. And then we will have our city labs on the 1st, 2nd, and 9th April. We will have the city labs on culture of cooperation, tourist management in historic centers, and energy efficiency. So we're gonna give you a report after the ending of these city labs. I think I had some, like, Monsieur Diakité. Monsieur Diakité, vous savez votre...
Mr. Dakitin, your Bo, take away what you have. Any questions? A comment?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Musa Moriba.
Hello.
Yes, this is Mr. Musa Moriba Diakite. Well spotted. Former resident of Guinea. And as we just said, we were recently registered among the cities in the VPM. We are very pleased with this registration, which we have been waiting for a long time. And I am very happy today to be here with you, at least. To witness a meeting concerning an activity as important as tourism, I will be very brief. I would just like to introduce myself. I am from the ancient city of Jenny, and the entire community of Jenny is very happy to be a member of the organization. We have been seeking this for a long time. But thanks to the efforts of Adriana, whom I greatly admire, who has given us a lot of support in terms of documentation and advice, until we finally succeeded in becoming a member, I would like to thank everyone, on behalf of the city of Jenny, on behalf of the mayor, and on behalf of all his colleagues, that we are all happy to be members, and that we will continue to be good members and to accept and participate in all the activities to which we are entitled. Once again, thank you, and my sincere thanks to Adriana. As I said, she has given us a lot of support and advice, and thank you all. Thank you to everyone who is here, online. I hope you enjoy working with us. And I also hope that we will remain good friends for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diakite, for your kind words. We also hope to have your participation in future low VPM activities, and of course, at the Marrakesh conference. So we are preparing for Marrakesh, and we are looking to engage as many cities as possible in the organization and development of these new urban projects. So is there anyone else who has comments, questions?
Monica?
Monica, just.
Yeah, I just would like to say hello, of course, to the Ville of Genève. It's a real pleasure to have you amongst us, and I want to say a warm welcome. We are happy to have you with us. I just would like to ask you, Berenice and Adriana, how should we proceed with the registrations for the city labs? I think there has been an extension in the deadline because you first announced that we will receive answer by 4th of March. Is this now postponed like for 2 or 3 days? I just need to know for my calendar what date to put down finally for the registrations, and if it still is a urgent to send out a reminder to our regional member cities. I don't know about the number of registrations. So if you just could give us a head up on the numbers so that we know if there is still urgent need to give a call out, or when you will put a final deadline on the city labs.
Thank you for your question, Monica. Yeah, so we're for the city labs, we extended for this week just until tomorrow the period for registration, but we had already achieved a lot of interest, mostly for the city lab with Amsterdam, the tourism management. For the others, for culture of cooperation and energy efficiency, we are accepting more participants, but it will be until tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. So in case you want to join, I could send you also the registration link in the chat. just like there's some simple questions. I know you registered too, so there's just the questions, and we're gonna send a confirmation to the cities that will be participating in each city lab on if not tomorrow, by next Monday. So that's the idea. We're collaborating closely with the cities involved, with Amsterdam, with Bordeaux, and L'Heure, I see you there, and with other cities, with Luxembourg. So that's the idea. Thank you so much for bringing that to the topic. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other question?
All good.
Yeah. Any other comment? No? Okay. So that's all for us today. We will send you the recording of this presentation in the coming week, so you could have more information and you could send it to other colleagues that you find it important. You know our mails, you know how to contact us, or in case you have any question, any doubt, please let us know. Please reach out. We'll be happy to help you and to keep collaborating with you. And of course, if you want to give us comments or anything, just write us. I think there's a message in the chat. Well, for the registration form, so you could have it there. So thank you so much for being here today and for participating.